This is a conversation with Bill Thunberg, a former mayor of Mooresville and co-founder of the Mooresville Hydrail Initiative, who holds a degree in philosophy, a lifelong public servant on commissions, chamber, and civic clubs, keenly interested in how emerging technologies can benefit society. This is Energy News Biz Hydrail interview series. To support it, please check out our advertising options in the description. Thank you. And now, here's Bill Thunberg. Who is Bill Thunberg?
Well, currently, I'm the owner of a jewelry store, and I'm involved in local community service, and I'm the executive director of the Lake Norman Regional Transportation Commission, a dad and a grandfather. So that's pretty much me. And as you know, I'm one of the founders of the International Hydrail Conferences. So.
How did you start attending Hydrail conferences?
Well, back in the early 2000s, President George Bush, I guess, was reelected and announced that the U.S. was going to have a $4 billion allocation for the study of hydrail. So Stan Thompson and I, my co-founder, we just looked at each other and said, why not hydrail? Why not trains? And so a few years later, after a lot of other things, because we were thinking more local than global, we were trying to get a rail line from Charlotte up to Mooresville, which is 27 miles north of Charlotte, and we thought, a hydrail demonstration project might get that done, and so it was a heavier lift than we thought with regards to trying to get the train up to Mooresville. So ultimately we said, why not the world? And so we decided to have our first International Hydrail Conference in 2005, which was held in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it all got started then. And then we've had them annually ever since then. So.
What was the complete experience of starting this, and what support did you get from the community?
Well, we actually, believe it or not, we had. Are you familiar with Bank of America?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Bank of America contributed, I think, $5,000 for the first Hydrail conference, and so, and then we had local contributions too, not just, Stan and I put money in, and we had contributions. We had the support of the Chamber of Commerce, which I had been president of the Chamber of Commerce when Stan and I started all of this. And so we had a lot of support, and we had the support of the Energy Center at Appalachian State University. And we had some support from the state of North Carolina, which is a state within the continental United States, to get this first conference off of the ground. And so we had great participation. We had folks from Japan and mostly university researchers, because there was not much in terms of commercial things going on then. So it started really primarily as a way for academia to gather and talk about the issues surrounding hydrogen, the use of hydrogen for the decarbonization of rail, and developing the state of the art beginning in 2005 up to 2023.
Could you even think of how far will it go? Like, did you have it somewhere in your imagination, or did you have like a goal, how big this should be?
Well, honestly, no, because we at the time, we were not aware of the barriers that might be out there, because we were just our thoughts were racing ahead of the reality of bureaucracies and administravia and all of that other stuff. So we, our and our naivete and then later on persistence, we were saying, well, gosh, why don't people see that this is just the rational thing to have happen? And you know what? The people didn't necessarily see it, and so it's taken a while for us to be able to change the thinking, get it out of the realm of academia into the realm of commercialization, so that over time, there was like an inflection point. One of them was in 2008 in Toronto, and then later on in 2013, where really most of the participants were not universities anymore. They were kind of governments and commercial entities, thinking about what's the market for this, and which is where it needed to go.
Who are the most important people in Hydrail, in your opinion?
I think, to me, I think things have moved beyond me and Stan in terms of just the whole thought process and the strategic, uh, concept of addressing how hydrogen can be used in the decarbonization of transport overall. So, in the area of Hydrail, the most important people are, well, I'm going to name a couple of entities, and then I'm going to name a couple of people. Are Alstom and Cummins, whatever their new name for their fuel cell division is. It started out as Hydrogenics, in Ballard, and then there's Andreas Hofrichter, who is a senior consultant with DB Consulting, which is Deutsche Bahn Consulting, and then there at Tarun Haria in India, Seki Chang in South Korea. But those people have been really thought leaders internationally in terms of hydrogen and where it fits in the whole process of decarbonization. So, particularly Andreas, he's very thoughtful, and he's got several members on his team. Muhammad on his team, who is a brilliant thinker and understands that hydrogen is not perfect for every application, but it's perfect for some applications, and the use of it, whether it's in a hybrid environment or whatever, just makes sense for a lot of applications.
What is the current status of Hydrail in the U.S.?
Well, the first Hydrail train is set to be deployed in San Bernardino, California, and so the contracts have been signed, and Stadler is building those units in Salt Lake City, Utah. So, so that's probably going to be the first use and installation of Hydrail in the United States. There's a demonstration project by Alstom that's going to be taking place in Quebec. So while it's not going to be a permanent fixture, it may be that is the actual first Hydrail train to run in the United States before in North America before the San Bernardino goes into regular revenue service.
What happened with the Mooresville Charlotte line?
That's still in the planning processes. Charlotte has a light rail system, but it has not found a way to get the commuter rail between Charlotte and Mooresville up and running. But it still is on the planning horizon for them.
What do you believe are the key benefits of this technology compared to diesel? And do you think that the hydrail technology will eventually replace diesel trains, or will these two coexist?
Well, and that's an interesting question. I'll take the first part of it. Um, all trains essentially are electric, whether it's diesel electric or hydrogen electric. So essentially the benefit of hydrogen in a in trains is that it allows you to electrify lines without running overhead catenary, so that you can use HMUs or HEMUs, however they're going to phrase that uh, in the future, but basically hydrogen multiple units, because the cost of extending the infrastructure for overhead catenary is extremely expensive. So Hydrail gives you the opportunity to knock that expense out of it, reduce annual maintenance, because there's a pretty high maintenance cost of maintaining all of that electrification, reduce the amount of right of way that you may need to buy, which can be expensive, and at the same time, it improves the air quality, using hydrail instead of diesel. If you can think about trains sitting in a yard or trains sitting in an underground station that are diesel, you can get a sense of how important it is for us to reduce those emissions, and for the health of the people working on the trains, and for the health of the people in surrounding the trains, the rail yards, and for the passengers in the general population. So, that a key benefit is improved air quality that comes with decarbonizing the rail infrastructure.
What could be the major challenges for hydrail technology, and how do you see them overcome?
Well, with regards to trains, I think um, honestly the major challenge is people have to change their thinking, because you're looking at long life cycles for these capital investments for you to be able to get a return on your investment. So the longer that you can keep this train in service, the more profit that you make off of that capital investment. And I think one of the important things is for rail executives to think about, when this comes up for a 15-year retrofit or whatever it is, we can satisfy the latest EPA requirements or whatever the authority, the air quality authority is, by replacing the existing diesel engine with hydrail technology. And so it's a mandatory retrofit anyway. You retrofit these things with hydrogen-based technology. Basically turn it into a hydrail engine on a refit, and so you're able to extend the life of that vehicle again, but you're doing it in a way that improves the air quality and gives you really some more flexibility in terms of uses in rail yards and things. Because if you think about it, hydrogen is not a fuel; it's an energy carrier. And so if you think of it in terms of an energy carrier or energy vector, or however you want to phrase that, then you can use that throughout your operations. So you can use it for your auxiliary power units. You can use it for all different kinds of uses in rail yards. For example, a lot of times what happens with let's say an engine is no longer useful for for hauling freight. Well, they turn that into a switcher. So so the diesel lives on. So that switcher sits in the yard, probably running 24 hours a day, spewing out diesel. So that's a great candidate to convert to Hydrail to avoid the air quality issues on a loco that does not meet EPA requirements now and can't be used in transport. So and some of those units, I was reading an article last night, some of these units, I mean, they go to Argentina and they spew particulates and other things into the air in Argentina. So it's there are lots of different opportunities for the use of Hydrail technology to improve air quality and improve the health of people nearby these facilities. So,
how do you think the widespread adoption of Hydrail will impact the transportation industry?
I think it, and you see it now. When we first started out, there were almost no references to hydrogen or Hydrail or anything in the media or in the energy publications or anything. And now those discussions are dominating the media, and for good reason, because again, it's not a silver bullet. It's a piece of the solution to reducing your dependence on fossil fuels and improving the air quality, and a small step towards battling climate change. So I think for all of those reasons, it will come to dominate, particularly in the freight area. It will come to dominate the technology of the future. Whether it's in a battery hybrid configuration, there are a couple of different ways to do it. You can have the fuel cell as the prime mover, and it captures energy to braking energy and other things to charge the batteries. Or you can do it the other way around. You can use the battery as the prime mover, and then you can trickle charge the batteries using fuel cells. So different ways to get there.
Introducing our revolutionary solution for companies and individuals who are looking for a way to achieve energy independence. Our cutting-edge installation is designed to transport and store hydrogen and its mixtures safely and effectively. This breakthrough technology will create local universal networks for the production, distribution, and consumption of hydrogen, offering a low-cost alternative energy source for the future. Our innovative system comprises vertically positioned tubular elements, connected together by another tubular element to form a tubular U-profile, which is placed underground. The upper end of one vertical tubular element is connected to the hydrogen supplier, while the other is connected to the consumer. This ensures automatic, instantaneous, and contactless transport of hydrogen from the producer to the consumer, creating a futuristic network of hydrogen pipeline connections. Our patented system offers many benefits, including reduced hydrogen prices for the end user, elimination of expensive road transport, the ability to use and revitalize existing disused mining wells, significant reductions in construction work and operating costs of hydrogen distribution stations, and does not require any labor. All of this is made possible by an innovative technology that uses well-known drilling and borehole horizontal techniques for the transport and storage of hydrogen. Our installation ensures safe and environmentally friendly storage of any excess energy without the loss of significant amounts of hydrogen in a highly concentrated state. We are also the only company in the world that offers a simple, fully scalar hydrogen storage unit for autonomous houses and buildings in the form of a U-tube. This solution is inexpensive, fully safe, and fully ecological thanks to the closed water circuit. Join the energy revolution today and say goodbye to energy and fuel monopolies. Our system will help you achieve energy independence and contribute to a better, more sustainable future for all.
Are there any exciting developments in Hydrail that you are particularly excited about?
Oh yeah, it's incredible. I mean, the things that are going on in Spain and Italy and around the world with regards to and California. I mean, California has a plan to convert to Hydrail in their freight operations. So Canada, Canadian Pacific. So I think we're on. This is not something that Stan and I control or anything. We're just sitting back. We're like the Johnny Appleseeds of hydrogen-powered rail. We've been spreading the seeds around the world, for 20 odd years, and so we're just now kind of standing back and watching all of this happen, and it provides a great deal of satisfaction and joy to see that people are grabbing onto this and thinking about it and making the best use of it that they can for their particular application. So
what role do you see government policies and incentives playing in the future of Hydrail?
Well, incentives, I think, just look at the situation in Germany vis-a-vis what happened with the cutoff of gas from Russia. And I'm not making a political statement here. I'm just making a fact that they were incentivized to speed up whatever they were going to do with regards to hydrogen. So there's a pipeline agreement between Germany and Denmark and perhaps Norway and other places. So I think these things are going to be unfolding in ways that allow governments to not be dependent on or reduce their dependence on foreign sources of energy. So it's going to allow each individual country to have a domestic energy business without necessarily having gas or oil or whatever the other resource is that you might have. So it's going to give each country an opportunity to and the freedom to be able to produce some energy of their own to displace imports and reduce dependence. So, which I think is a wonderful thing. And so,
are there any potential risks associated with Hydrail technology that we should be aware of?
Yeah, well, and that's one of the reasons that a good question. That's one of the reasons that the academics have been involved, because you have to have, depending on which way you go, you need to have good tanks, and those tanks need to be able to, reflect the unique properties of hydrogen, and so and that's also one of the benefits, believe it or not, because you can use these technologies like hydrogen to create a network of distribution points similar to the existing distribution points with similar, the distribution system is amenable to transporting hydrogen as well as fossil fuels and other gases. So
what advice would you give to individuals and businesses who are interested in adopting Hydrail technology?
Well, take a close look at it and think about all aspects of the equation. So it's not just about the costs; it's about the benefits and how those benefits can accrue to your organization and to the benefit of society at the same time.
let's go back a bit to the beginning. What inspired you to become a pioneer in hydrail? Was there a particular moment, and how does this passion reflects on your work?
Well, I mean, honestly, it goes back to what Stan and I were talking to you about. I mean, Stan and I were talking about earlier when I spoke to you is that why not? You know, we were already aware that climate change was an issue, and we already knew, particularly in our area, there was a concern that we might be losing federal funds because of ozone in our area. So, you know, our focus was generally on air quality and getting away from fossil fuels, and so we, yeah, that was the motivation primarily, and as well as getting the line up here from Charlotte. So,
You mentioned the funds and incentives from the government. How do you see this complete hydrogen situation unfolds? I mean, do you see it being used in cars, heating, and so on?
yeah, it's actually already being used in heating, and they're uh, um, even in the United States, there are test demonstration projects going on with replacing uh, some natural gas with 15% hydrogen. So, so yeah, I think there are going to be places where that works well, and there are going to be perhaps other places that it doesn't work. I don't know. I'm not, but thinking strategically about it, when you when you think about, well, let's just take airports and seaports. If you go off the coast and you look back at a very busy port, seaport, you can see a dome of gray. That's bad air. So within that, if you have a network for the electrification of the port, it's going to require portable electricity for drayage vehicles, portable electricity for forklift types things, portable electricity for APUs. And when you think about it, hydrogen is portable electricity because you can put it in a bottle and you can take it and you can stick it on a forklift, or you can stick it in a crane or whatever, and you just take that electricity that's been perhaps made at off-peak hours in a nuclear plant, or from from electrolysis of seawater on site, or whatever the technology takes us, and you can use that to completely decarbonize that port. So you can use the hydrogen as an energy vector that to help you decarbonize that port, or an airport where you can take the top of the airport, for example, and line it with solar cells, run an electrolyzer off of the solar cells, and you can decarbonize the transport in the area of the airport, all of your tugs, all of these other things that you can use batteries or hybrid hydrogen battery vehicles or whatever to reduce that dome of nasty air that you deal with in these things. So you think about it just for a second. There are 30 cities around the world that are responsible for a large part of the poor air, and so if you were just to use hydrogen as the catalyst technology, as the energy vector to reduce the output of particulates and NOx and VOC, everything, then just in those 30 cities, it would have a huge impact on the world overall, and it would have a with regards to air quality and on climate change. So I think there's a lot to. It's not going to happen overnight, but there's a lot of benefit to sitting down and saying to yourself, how can this help us become less reliant on fossil fuels and imports of fossil fuel, improve the health and well-being of those people. Let's just say in India, you can imagine what the air quality does to heart issues and lung issues, COPD kinds of things. There would be a huge improvement in the health and well-being, particularly of children in these developing countries, if we were able to take this hydrogen as an energy vector and help improve the air quality and reduce reliance on fossil fuels.
That's in the best case scenario, but what happens in the real world when we have to install such infrastructure? And you mentioned the transportation of hydrogen. How do you see that one solved?
Well, the transportation of hydrogen, pipelines is the best way. Okay, so, but there's a lot of opposition to pipelines, and I can understand some of that opposition. But if you, and that's kind of what I was talking about when I was thinking about the existing infrastructure that we have is amenable to conversion to the transport of hydrogen. If you think about it, you've got these big tanker trucks that carry gasoline to gas stations. Okay. Well, most gas companies like Linda and these other gas companies are used to travel or to transporting hydrogen. There's an existing delivery structure for hydrogen, and so in the kind of the worst case scenario, you can rely on the existing infrastructure, and if you think about automobiles, and automobiles are probably the last thing that gets, but if you think about automobiles and the fueling infrastructure that's existing out there, and you think that, well, let's put this is very simple thinking, let's put a hydrogen pump at that gas station. Oh, well, the truck's coming anyway. So if there's an existing distribution network, and you put hydrogen on the truck and you take it to the gas station the same way, the hydrogen vehicles will have similar mileage, and so the existing network is able to accommodate the distribution of hydrogen. So and there's the chicken and egg conundrum that people address with regard, well, there's no place to get hydrogen, and there are no hydrogen vehicles, so why do we need a place to get hydrogen? Those things, they will take care of themselves over time. So, and government incentives can help in that area too.
There's a debate in Europe about hydrogen from nuclear. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Should it be called green hydrogen? I'm sensitive to people that are concerned about safety and those kinds of things. Let's not put a label on it. Let's not make it green, yellow, pink, blue, orange, or whatever it is. When you think about, you've got an existing nuclear plant. It does not run at full blast all the time. So if it's running at off-peak, and you can use that off-peak energy to electrolyze water to make hydrogen, why not do that? So, I mean, the point is that, is it perfect? Maybe not. But does it work? Does it get us to the goal? Yes. So, it's not a religious argument. It's just a practical
way to use the existing infrastructure, and it's like recycling. Honestly, it's equivalent to recycling. You're taking this thing that's running, and instead of not utilizing it, you utilize it to a good thing. The reduction, the improvement of air quality, and reduction in climate change.
How do you see hydrogen in terms of geopolitics?
Yeah, let's go back to my previous point. I think that depending on the individual politics of a country, you can make your own hydrogen. I mean, you can go out in your backyard and make your own hydrogen if you've got the money to do it. That the government's role in that situation is safety and the necessarily regulatory requirements and things like that. But I think and that really what it does is it gives governments the freedom to have some control by using hydrogen as an energy vector, have some control over their imports, and since it competes with imported energy, it may help reduce the price of the energy that they're actually importing because of the competition of indigenous plant for production of hydrogen, or nuclear to hydrogen, or whatever the case may be. So I think there are economic benefits to that, and there are also economic benefits to doing what Germany and Denmark are doing with a pipeline, so that you use the wind power of Denmark's wind placement to create hydrogen, and you pump it to Germany, or vice versa. You pump it back to Denmark when their windmills aren't blowing. So it's I see nothing really but positives with regards to being able to have your own energy production, not based on resource extraction.
Bill, thank you for being my guest today.
Sure. Well, thank you very much. It's nice talking to you.